Ellison, and welcome to my home here in Phoenix, Arizona. So my husband and I always look forward to the weekend, and the first thing we think of is how are we going to have fun with friends and family? And what's more fun than pizza? So what we're going to do today is completely think outside of the box and have a Philadelphia cream cheese steak pizza. So of course we're going to have our trusty Philadelphia cream cheese, and we're really going to think outside of the box with a little easy cheese. So let's go ahead and have some fun. We have some fresh dough. I actually like to go to my local market and pick up fresh dough. You can use the dough that's already in the can and ready to go, so really whatever works for you. But what I like is a nice fresh dough. That way I can roll it to the consistency that I like. And what I want you to do is see how easy it is to roll. A lot of people are intimidated by making fresh pizza because they think it's a lot of work, when actually it's really simple and it goes really fast. So what I have here is about 12 ounces of dough. Now the market where I get my dough sells it in a larger ball, so if you're making a thick crust pizza, you could probably just use the whole thing. But we're making a really thin crust pizza, so I've cut it in half and thrown the other half in my freezer to use it another time. Or if you're having more than 4 people over, absolutely you could make 2 pizzas and you'd be ready to go. So I'm just kind of working it with my hands and getting it a little bit stretched out. I've got my floured surface. Just a little bit of flour is all you need. I'm going to sprinkle some on top and put some on my rolling pin. And I'm just going to work it out. The great thing about a homemade pizza is it actually has a lot more personality if it's not completely round. So just have fun with it. Make it the shape you like it. I like to make it thin, so whatever shape it ends up in when I get to the right thickness is where it's going to stay. So I just finished rolling my dough to my desired thickness. What I have now is I have a pizza board, and I've sprinkled about a tablespoon of cornmeal on it. And what this is going to do is help the pizza to slide right off onto my pizza stone that's been preheated in my 550-degree oven. I actually put my pizza stone in at the exact same time I turned on my oven, so that way my pizza stone will be nice and hot and help me get that crispiness of the crust that I'm really looking for. So all you do is take your pizza dough and just work it right onto your board, just like that. Spread it out, make a nice even layer. Now what I like to do to make sure that I do have a lot of layers of flavor in my pizza is I've got a tablespoon of olive oil and 2 small garlic cloves. So I have the garlic cloves just minced and sitting in my olive oil, and I did that right at about the same time I turned on my oven. And I'm just gonna take and put a little bit of olive oil, just a nice even layer all over my pizza dough. All right, so we have a nice even layer of the olive oil that's got some garlic in it. What we're actually going to do is put this in the oven for 3 to 4 minutes first before we put any of our other good stuff on it. We want to get that crust nice and crispy, and you'll see how it will actually help our Philadelphia cream cheese just blend right on top of the crust when it comes out of the oven. So you can see how easy it is to just slide it right off your board onto your pizza stone. If for some reason, you guys, you don't have a pizza board, it's okay. Any standard flat surface, a cutting board, a baking sheet flipped upside down will work just fine. Just make sure you do sprinkle that cornmeal on it first, and it really acts as just a little guide to slide it right off onto your pizza stone. So I just put our pizza in the oven, and what I have working on the stove is I have a medium-sized onion sliced in half, cut in half and then sliced, and I have about a heaping cup of sliced mushrooms. So what we're doing is really recreating the Philadelphia cheesesteak, but just changing it with the Philadelphia cream cheese. So I've got this stirred pretty well, probably about 3 or 4 minutes, and what I'm going to do is add my steak. And what I have here is about a pound, about a ribeye that was about a pound. I've trimmed it of all fat and I've sliced it into bite-sized, extremely thin pieces, just like you would have on a Philadelphia cheesesteak. So this is going to be fast, guys. This is going to go in the pot for about a minute and a half, and then we're going to turn that heat off because we don't want to overcook our steak. We just want to have it slightly done because it's going to bake in the oven for about 4 minutes. So we're going to toss this in. We're going to mix it up real good, break up all the pieces, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper, and that's it, and it'll be good to go. All right, so we are a lot closer to having this Philadelphia cream cheese steak pizza ready to go. So just to recap what we've done, we had our dough in the oven for about 3 to 4 minutes. You want it to get a little golden, but we're really looking to just get that crust cooked a little bit on the bottom so it's nice and crispy. In the pan, we had a medium-sized onion sliced along with mushrooms. We sauteed that for about 3 or 4 minutes and then added the steak in for just about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes to get it lightly cooked, seasoned that with salt and pepper, and now we're ready to go. So we have our softened cream cheese. We have 3 to 4 ounces of cream, Philadelphia cream cheese, however much you like. I like a little more, so I'm a little closer to the 4 ounces. And we're just gonna take it and we're just gonna smear it right onto the crust. And look how easy that melts. That crust is nice and warm, and you're just gonna coat the whole crust. And this is gonna be basically our sauce for the pizza. So this looks great. I have a nice even layer of the Philadelphia cream cheese all over our pre-baked pizza dough. The one thing that I didn't mention to you that I probably should is when you put your dough in the oven, a lot of times it will bubble up on you. So you can do 2 things. You can take a fork before you put it in and just, make several punctures with the fork into the dough. Or as it's baking, if you see any bubbles coming up, you can just open your oven and just go ahead and take your fork and puncture the bubbles at that time. But I actually think it looks great. It gives it a lot more personality. And again, we're talking about fun foods here, so you want something that looks a little different as well. All right, so we have our cream cheese spread evenly all over our dough. We're gonna take our mixture of onions, mushroom, and ribeye steak and just go right on top. The one thing you'll see me doing is as I'm picking it up, just shaking it a little bit, we wanna make sure that we don't have any extra juice from the onions or the mushroom. That is gonna make our pizza soggy. So we're just gonna evenly put this all over the pizza. If you guys could smell this, you would be blown away. The onions, the mushrooms, the steak, and the way that the garlic is just melted into this crust, it just smells divine. All right, so we talked about food being fun. You can't get much more fun than this. Remember as a kid when we would have this easy cheese on crackers or whatever? So let's live a moment back in our childhood and let's just have a really good time. You can put as much or as little as you would like. You will be amazed at how beautifully this will melt down in the oven. Who would have thought easy cheese on a pizza? But we are replicating a Philadelphia cheesesteak, right? So how can you have a Philadelphia cheesesteak without the Cheez Whiz? All right, we're gonna get this in the oven. Now this is gonna go fast, guys, because it's already, the crust has already been baked for about 3 or 4 minutes. We're really just looking to melt the cheese, get a little caramelization on the top of the onions that are already on top, and then we'll be good to go. So keep a close eye on it, 3 or 4 minutes, and you're gonna be ready to dive into this Philadelphia cream cheese steak pizza. So one of the great things about doing the pizza on the pizza board is that it makes a great decorative serving platter as well. It actually just makes it a lot more fun. So there are several things you could top this with. Think about when you have a Philadelphia cheesesteak, you have many options. You can do hot peppers, pepperoncinis, really you could do anything. We like it spicy around here, so we're gonna do just a couple of jalapenos as well. All right, I'm going in. So good. It is so delicious. That Philadelphia cream cheese as a base really just gives it such another layer of creaminess on top of that crusty dough. It's so good. It just crackles in your mouth, and then you get the creaminess of the Philadelphia cream cheese, and then all the onions, the mushrooms, the steak, and then that easy cheese on top. So I'm being told I need to wrap it up by my cameraman. He's getting quite hungry by looking at this lovely pizza sitting in front of him. So what we have here, you guys, it was so easy and it was so much fun to do. We have our store-bought dough, we rolled it out, we put a layer of the olive oil with garlic, baked it for a few minutes, then put on that creamy Philadelphia cream cheese to give it a nice consistency and flavor up against that crust. And then we topped it with our onions, our mushrooms, and our ribeye that was sliced really thin. And then of course, for the little bonus on top, we have our easy cheese. You guys have fun with this meal. It's a great conversational piece when you have friends over. So I would say go ahead, stop at the store, get the ingredients, and have a great time. Thanks, you guys. Hope to see you soon.